Hare Krishna, dear devotees, wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan, Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra, Gaur Nitai, Tulsi Mani, Haridas Thakur, Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembly devotees. So, we yesterday finished the fifth canto, at least a brief overview of the fifth canto. Today we wanted to start the sixth canto. Before doing that, oh, one second. Just wanted to do a quick overview of the previous cantos. So sixth canto, it is entitled, sorry, just get there in a minute. Prescribed duties for mankind. So overview of cantos 1 and 2. First two cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, considered to be the Lord's lotus feet, and form the prelude to the rest of the scripture by introducing us to its key philosophical concepts and prominent characters. These cantos also establish Bhakti Yoga as the topmost spiritual path, and Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountain of all incarnations. Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam. In these cantos, there are descriptions of many wonderful prayers by devotees, the Lord's reciprocation with them, the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, his activities of chastising Kali, the history of the Bhagavatam, the circumstances in which this scripture made its appearance, the process of creation, the Virat Rup, the universal form. Also, the Chatur Sloki is here in the 9th chapter of the second canto. The definition of the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam are also described. In cantos 3 and 4, the third and fourth cantos correspond to the Lord's thighs and predominantly discuss the topics of the primary and secondary creation through the conversation of Vidur and Maitreya. The third canto describes a variegated range of topics that include the following: creation by the Lord, Supreme Lord, subcreation by Brahma and his sons. It talks about time, embryology, family life, Sankhya, Bhakti, Yoga, Astanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma. It talks about spiritual world, material world, and also hell. In the third canto, there are prominent episodes: pastimes of Lord Varaha, descriptions of Vaikuntha and Lord Vishnu, the interaction of Kashyap and Aditi, the household life of Kardam Muni and Devoti, and also the teachings of Lord Kapil. And the fourth canto is very rich in its content, where Maitreya continues to describe the family lines of Swayambhu Manu, Manu's descendants. He had 3 daughters and 2 sons. So the daughters, Devahuti, Akuti, Pashuti, the sons, Uttanpad, Priyavrat. There are many admired personalities unveiled in this canto, like Lord Shiva, Suniti, the mother of Dhruv himself, King Anga, Prithu, Prachetas. There are examples of extraordinary feats of devotional service. We can learn about the unfavorable attitudes in devotional service from the mistakes of the following characters: Daksha, Suruchi, Vena, Indra, Prachina Barhi. The positive transformation undergone by many of these personalities, mainly due to the intervention of devotees, add to the glory of bhakti. Furthermore, the prayers of pure devotees in this canto disclose the foremost aspiration of the devotees: to hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. By rejecting heavenly enjoyments and impersonal liberation, which are the results of the processes of karma and jnana, respectively, such prayers once again establish the superiority of bhakti yoga. So still on Canto 4, a summary of, there are many examples of kings like Uttanpad, Dhruv, Anga, Prithu, Prachinabharhi, and Prachetas, who ruled the citizens with full responsibility while practicing bhakti, and then retired in an exemplary way at the right time for spiritual advancement. There are glorious examples of ladies like Anusuya, Sati, Suniti Archi, Vaira, VRB, who are devoted to their husbands with faith. Their activities teach lessons to disciples in serving their spiritual masters. So, Canto 5, which we just finished. Fifth canto corresponds to the lotus navel of the Supreme Lord. Here, Sukadeva Goswami continues on the topics of Visarga, secondary creation, and describes the dynasty of Priyavrat, which are the first 15 chapters. The other son of Manu. So Uttampad was in the fourth, Priyavrat in the fifth. The latter half of the canto, from 16 to 26, discusses sthanam, the position of the various planetary systems within the structure of the universe for the inhabitation of various living entities. How could a very advanced devotee fall down from his position? This was Maharaj Bharat. Forget his spiritual practice and engage in material life. This is the story of the lives of two greatly advanced devotees, Priyavrat and King Bharat. Sukadeva Goswami explains that one who is attached to the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet may sometimes be attacked by an impediment, but he still never gives up the exalted position he has attained. The dynasty of Priyavrat exemplifies the spirit of sacrificing one's personal desire to be obedient to the orders of the superiors. Because if you recall, here he is. Although he wanted to be in the renounced order of, upon Lord Brahma's request, he took charge of his father's kingdom without any grudges. He ruled in an exceptional way, dividing Bhumandal into 7 islands and 7 oceans, appointing his sons their rulers and finally retiring. He showed how devotees achieve great things because they are so surrendered to the all-powerful Lord. Priyavat's son was Agnidhara, whose son Nabi desired the Lord as his son. Thus, Rishabdev appeared, none other than Vishnu, who instructed his 100 children, whose eldest was Bharat. Bharat was the eldest son, and his pastimes, where he falls from an elevated position, takes birth as a deer and then as a Brahman, are described in some detail. Also, the geography of the universe is described. Hearing about the 7 islands, the Dvipas, for example, Jambudvip, created by the chariot wheels of Priyavrat, Parikshit inquired about their dimensions and characteristics. Sukadev then describes the structure of Bhumandal, beginning with Jambudvip, its 9 tracts of land, Varshas, and its various mountainous ranges. So, now we're looking at 6th chapter. There are 6th canto. There's 19 chapters in this canto. Again, brief overview of this canto. A 6th canto presents several interesting episodes centered on the theme of protection offered by the Supreme Lord to his devotees, although they sometimes transgress the laws of dharma. So, very interesting. Hearing about the hellish planets in chapter 26 of Canto 5, the compassionate Parikshit inquires from Sukadeva Goswami how the living entity may be saved from entering such hellish conditions. So we spoke about that a couple of days ago. Sukadeva Goswami, to test his disciple, first presented Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda as solutions. Basically saying, okay, if you commit sin, you just do some priyaschit, some atoning behavior to counter the sin, or you get some knowledge to counter the sin about the divine. But seeing Parikshit not satisfied, Sukadeva Goswami presented Bhakti Yoga as the ultimate protection from all sins. And to substantiate this, he told the stories of Ajamil from chapter 1 to 3. The pastime of Ajamil demonstrates the power of the holy name of the Lord. Upon Parikshit's request, Sukadeva Goswami resumes the topic of Visarga, secondary creation, and the austerities of Daksha, described with the prayers he offered to the Lord. Daksha's 11,000 sons become renunciates, and Daksha curses Narad. So Daksha is in we saw in earlier cantos, he offended Lord Shiva, and now he's cursing Narad. A daughter of Daksha called Aditi married Kashyap, whose grandson Vishwarup became the guru of the demigods, and he instructed Indra about the Narayan Kavach by which the demigods regained their opulence. Vishwarup, however, secretly offered oblations to the demons, and Indra killed him. Vishwarup's father performed a sacrifice to get a son to kill Indra. Thus, Vrittasura appeared from the Yajna, who fought with Indra, but exhibited great devotional qualities. So it's interesting how Vrittasura is a demon, but actually he was a great devotee. Now, Parikshit, surprised at the devotional qualities of Vrittasura, asked about who he was. How can he be a devotee? Sukadeva Goswami explained that in his previous life, Vrittasura was Chitraketu, who had been cursed by Parvati to become a demon. These are really fascinating pastimes. The story of Chitrakuta is one of the most instructive pastimes in the Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami resumes the description of the descendants of the daughters of Daksha, the Maruts. Thus, the sixth canto describes several illuminating activities of the devotees of the Lord who are protected by him despite their faults. So, chapter 1, the history of the life of Ajamil. To enthuse Sukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit reviews the knowledge he's received from Sukadeva Goswami. So in the second canto, the path of liberation, Nivritti Marg, was described. The third canto, the elevation to heavenly planets. Again, Nivritti Marg. Swaglok Marg as well is called. Fourth canto, he talks about the first Manvantara who's presided by Swayambhu Manu and Uttampal. Fifth canto, he talks about Priyavrat. Then he talks about the hellish life, the result of impious activities. And there is the Vedic cosmology. After hearing all about the punishment for sinful people in the various hells, Parikshit, as a compassionate Vaishnav, is concerned how human beings may be saved from entering hellish life. So, in order to test the proficiency of his pupil, Sukadeva Goswami first responds by explaining the path of atonement according to Manu Samhita and the Dharma Shastras. The sinful person, before dying, must atone for his sins committed by the mind, word, or actions. Like a doctor treats a disease according to its gravity. Parikshit, however, rejects this path of karmakanda. Why does he reject? Since he has seen that people, although experiencing repeated punishments, still commit sin and again and again. So even though the sin is there, the atonement is there, the person still goes back and does the sin again. Therefore, what is the value of such atonement? It's like the elephant. He compares it to the elephant who puts dirt on himself after carefully having his bath. So we may have seen that, right? The elephant has a bath, then he gets out, and then he sprinkles himself with his trunks with dust. What's the point of having the shower? Sukadeva Goswami accepts Parikshit's response, stating that karma atonement can't destroy sin because it cannot remove the ignorance which is the seed of sin. So that's an important point. The reason why people sin, why do we sin? Because the seed of sinning is remaining even after performing some atonement. Then Sukadeva Goswami describes a path of knowledge, jnana, which gradually leads on to liberation. However, the results of this path are not effective to destroy the root of sin. So again, it's not enough. They are compared to burning of dried leaves while leaving the roots beneath to grow at the first opportunity. Even after practicing jnana, sin may reappear. So karma and jnana, they're both rejected. Finally, Sukadeva Goswami explains how Only pure, unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna can uproot the weeds of sin with no possibility that they will revive. So, Bhakti Yoga destroys even this root of sin. How? Because it replaces that root of sin with the desire to love the Lord. So it's replaced. And that's very powerful. The other two processes, knowledge and karma, don't do that. Just like the mere manifestation of the sun's first rays dissipates fog, so even a slight appearance of bhakti destroys the fog of one's sinful life. One must follow the path of pure devotees, which is fearless and authorized by the scriptures. Those who have once surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna can never see Yamraj, even in dreams. To substantiate this, Sukadeva Goswami narrates the story of Ajamil. So this pastime of Ajamil is so instructive, and it shows the power of the holy name of God. It's such a wonderful pastime. In Kanyakubja, a Brahmin named Ajamil lost his good conduct and married a prostitute, engaging in sinful activities to support her. So what happened was, when he was young, up to the age of 18, Ajamil served his parents very nicely. But one day, he went to the forest in order to collect some wood. And in the forest, he saw a man and a woman enjoying. And that caught his attraction. And he could not stop thinking about the woman. And eventually, he married the woman. And he engaged in sinful activities to support her. He had 10 children with her. And he performed all sorts of terrible things in order to support the family. The youngest of the 10 sons was a baby named Narayan, a child who was very dear to him. Why? Because everybody else had deserted Ajamil. Ajamil was an old man. He was 88, I think. And nobody cared for him. But this little baby, little boy, he was always around Ajamil. So Ajamil became very attracted to him. At the time of his death, at the age of 88, he had a 5-year-old son at that time. He thought only of this young boy. But this is the Ajamil seeing this couple became attracted. Okay, so what happened? Death came. Due to Ajamil's sins, 3 fearsome Yamadutas came to take him to hell because he's performed a lot of bad activities, sinful activities. As the Yamadutas was snatching the soul from the core of his heart, bewildered Ajamil called out the name of Narayan. Because there was nobody else around. He saw the Yamadutas and he called out Narayan because the closest thing to him was his son. The only thing near him was his son, who was playing nearby. With tears in his eyes, having heard the holy name of their master chanted from the mouth of dying Ajamil, the order carriers of Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, immediately arrived, stopping the Yamadutas. So just imagine the scene. These Yamadutas were about to capture Ajamil. He chanted the name of his son, Narayan, and the Vishnu Dutas, bright, effulgent personalities came and stopped the Yamadutas from taking Ajamil. Ajamil had certainly chanted the holy name of Narayan without offense due to his past good fortune. So there you go. These are the Yamadutas, there's the Vishnu Dutas, there's Ajamil on his deathbed. And there you go, look, they're catching the soul, dragging him. But at that moment, because Ajamil said the name of the Lord, even though he meant his son, guess what? The Vishnu Dutas appeared protect him. The Yamadutas were surprised at the appearance of the Vishnu Dutas and challenged their audacity to obstruct the authority of Yamraj. They inquired about the identity of the Vishnu Dutas and why they are stopping them, the Yamadutas, from taking Ajamil. They especially appreciated the Vishnu Duta's appearance, because if we look, they look so incredible, just like Vishnu himself. So they were appreciating. The eyes are just like petals of lotus flower, dressed in yellow silk garments, decorated with garlands of lotuses, wearing very attractive helmets, earrings on ears, fresh, youthful, four long arms are decorated with bow, quivers of arrows, and with swords, clubs, conch shells, discs, and lotus flower. Effulgence has dissipated the darkness of this place with extraordinary illumination. So this is so good. Everything connected to the Lord is extraordinary. The Vishnu Dutas smiled, because the Yamadutas were just like ghosts who had no chance against the servants of Vishnu. And they were surprised that the Yamadutas did not know the principles of religion and asked the servants of Yamraj to explain the meaning of religious principles, the symptoms of irreligion, the process of punishing others, the actual candidates for punishment. Are all karmis engaged in fruitive activities punishable, or only some of them? So Yamadutas explained that religion is given in the Vedas, which are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. He is the cause and controller of this cosmic manifestation, the witness of activities of all beings are. So there are different witnesses. As we are doing our activities, somebody's witnessing it. Who? The sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day and night, directions, water, land, super soul. So everything we do is under constant vision of somebody. These witnesses confirm who must be punished for sinful acts. The soul is sinless because the soul is part and parcel of God and its spirit. So itself, the soul is sinless. But within the material world, it becomes contaminated by the three modes. One enjoys, suffers according to the proportion of dharma, adharma performed in this life. Yamaraj follows the super soul and in cooperation with him executes the rewards and punishments. So these Yamadutas were quite knowledgeable. Due to identification with the body and loss of memory at birth, a person is not aware of his past lives. The soul, in cooperation with the mind and 15 senses, enjoys the world alone. Oh yeah. So these are the components of the field of activities, our body, 24 elements made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5 gross elements. Then we have the objects of the senses, the form, sound, smell, taste, touch. Then we have 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses. So the knowledge acquiring senses are eyes, ears, nose, touch, skin. And the working senses, hands, legs, voice, anus, genitals. Then we have the mind. So this is 20, mind is 21, intelligence 22, false ego 23. And then we have the unmanifested. This is known as like the pradhan. And that is the 24 activities that we, the soul, interacts with while we're in this material world. And we get contaminated through the 3 modes of ignorant nature, material nature. In the beginning of his life, Ajamil was a Brahmin of high character. Once he saw a low-class man enjoying with a prostitute. Thus, the dormant lusty desires in his heart awakened and he lost control of his mind, even though he tried to control it. Losing his good sense He gave up his Brahminical activities to satisfy the prostitute while engaging in sinful activities to maintain the prostitute's family. He passed a long time, transgressing the scriptures, acting irresponsibly, condemned for his behavior, leading sinful life and being impure. Thus, since he did not undergo atonement, the Yamadutas now claim him to be taken for punishment to Yamraj. So let's stop there. It's a very nice long chapter, and then we'll see on Monday what happens. Any questions? Any comments by anyone? Okay, let's stop there. So, Srimad Bhagavad Purana ki jai, the Vishnu Dutas ki jai.